Very good morning from Warsaw and Woźniak Legal. I am Grzegorz Dudek, and together with my colleague Kinga Procek, we will guide you through some essential information on how a foundation can obtain a public benefit organization status in Poland, including some important legal requirements and benefits of maintaining this status. At Woźniak Legal, we both advise various of foundations, our client, or the ongoing activities and projects, including as well application for a PBO status. For many years, our firm has been recognized as one of the Poland's leading legal office in private client category. Here you can see some rewards we received from Legal 500. This category as well includes the foundations. So maybe we can jump into our today agenda. Here you can see our agenda for today's meeting. We will start with some basic information on what is a PBO status and who and how can apply for this special status in Poland. Next, we will also cover the main benefits of keeping this status, fiscal benefits and reputational benefits, along with the key legal responsibilities of having this status as a public benefit organization in Poland. We also plan some short Q&A session for your questions. We'll see what kind of questions we'll receive after this meeting. So I think we are ready to start with some basic information. What is a PBO public benefit organization in Poland? In Poland's vibrant non-profit landscape, achieving a PBO status is a game changer for the non-profit organizations. This can boost the fundraising via taxpayer donations and enhancing institutional trust for this kind of organizations. Governed by the Foundations Act of 1984, alongside with the Polish Act on Public Benefit Activity and Volunteer Work of 2003, the foundation must demonstrate at least 2 years of sustained public benefit activities before applying for this status to the registry court. This is important aspects and need to be taken into the consideration while planning establishing a foundation in Poland and applying for the PBO status. Public benefit activity itself, what is this activity? Here you can see that the public benefit activity in accordance with the Polish law is a socially useful activity conducted by the non-governmental organizations, especially foundations or the associations, in the sphere of public tasks specified in the Act. It is an activity for the benefit of the general community or specific groups within this community, carried out not for profit. This is very important that you need to keep in mind this 2 years period, because this is a legal requirement, and it means that the foundation cannot obtain a PBO status before these 2 years after it was established and started its statutory activity. So in nutshell, here you have some basic informations all together. What kind of entities can apply for a PBO status? Primarily non-governmental organizations, NGOs like foundations or associations. This kind of organization must act for the common good, realizing some social mission rather than being profit-oriented. And the scope of tax must comply with the areas listed in the Act, Article 4 of the Act, such as social assistance, health protections, education, culture, sport, and other kind of activities specified in the Act. Okay, I think now we can jump into the subject, who can apply for a PBO status.
Yes, as my colleague has already clarified, a PBO status is available to certain entities. Let us now turn your attention to the criteria that organization must fulfill to obtain this status. Non-governmental organizations, so-called NGOs, are the organizations that can obtain a PBO status. NGOs are entities that do not operate for a profit, and they are not part of the public finance sector, or enterprises, research institutes, banks, or commercial law companies that are state or local government legal persons. The associations and foundations qualify as NGOs in accordance with the Act. However, the legal form of the entity alone is not sufficient to determine whether an organization may apply for a PBO status. One of the fundamental criteria is to conduct public benefit activities for the benefit of the general community or a specific group of entities, provided that such group is distinguished due to its particularly difficult life or material situation compared to the society. As my colleague mentioned before, public benefit activities are defined as socially useful activities conducted by non-governmental organizations within the sphere of public tasks. Such activities must be carried out continuously for at least 2 years. In order to be recognized as a public benefit organization, an entity must fulfill the requirements specified in Article 20 of the Act. These requirements relate, for instance, to the organization statute, its governing bodies, economic activity, and so on. These requirements will be explained by my colleague in the next part of the webinar.
Yes, so I think we can jump to the legal requirements for obtaining a PBO status. As my colleague said, in accordance with the Article 20 of the Act, there are certain requirements that an organization must fulfill to obtain a PBO status in Poland. First, of course, is to conduct a socially useful public tasks as specified in the Act, in accordance with the statute of a foundation for at least 2 years before applying for a PBO status, as we explained before. This is a legal requirement that need to be taken into consideration while planning our activity as a foundation in Poland. Second requirement is that the economic activity, because the foundation or association can also conduct a economic activity next to the non-profit activity, must be only an additional activity to the main statutory not-for-profit activity of a foundation. Moreover, all the income that the foundation or association generate through its statutory activity, business activity, must be spent only on its statutory goals. So it means that no income can be spent for any other causes than for its non-profit activity. And this kind of NGO also needs to have a collegial supervisory board to control how the money are spent in this kind of organization. This is also a legal requirement. Going further, the statute of an NGO must specify that no loans or other securities should be paid to the members of the association, for example, or the funders of a foundation. The transparency is a must. So all the activity of the foundation must be carried out in a transparent way. The statute of the foundation also need to be prepared and drafted in a specific way to meet all the legal requirements. And this is also very important when thinking who will be the members of the boards or the statutory bodies of the foundation. The legal requirement is that the members of the management body of the foundation who wants to have the PBO status cannot be convicted for any intentional public offense or a fiscal one. So common pitfall when preparing or starting thinking about applying for a PBO status is that we need to keep in mind whether our foundation is able to prove that we are a socially useful activity. We need some evidences to prove it, and when we apply to the registry court for this statute. Okay, we can go to another topic.
Okay, so in order to be recognized as a public benefit organization, an organization must fulfill some legal requirements, as my colleague mentioned before. Once the organization is sure that all the necessary conditions have been met, the relevant application should be submitted to the registry court. This court verifies if the organization fulfills all the necessary criteria for obtaining a PBO status, and if so, the court will make an entry to the National Court Register so that the PBO status is visible in the public online records. So now we will indicate the crucial documents that must be attached to the application for a PBO status. As you can see, first of all, statements made by the members of the supervisory board that they have not been convicted of an intentional public offense or a fiscal offense, and that they are not members of the management board, nor remain in some family bonds with them. Secondly, statements made by the members of the management board that they have not been convicted of an intentional public offense or a fiscal offense. Thirdly, a statement made by the management board that any income generated by a foundation is allocated to its public benefit activities. The next one is a statement made by the management board that the economic activity, if conducted by the foundation, of course, is secondary to its statutory activities. The organization is also required to submit the relevant documentation confirming that the public benefit activities had been conducted continuously at least for 2 years. This documentation may include, for instance, substantive and financial reports, recommendations, press articles, online publications, photographs documenting events, and certificates obtained from the partners. So it is very important to document this kind of activities from the very, very beginning. Finally, the statute of the foundation needs to be properly adjusted to the requirements indicated in the Act, as my colleague said before.
Yes, so we already explained how to apply for the public benefit organization status, who can do it, how to do it, what kind of documents and evidences need to be presented to the registry court. And now I think it's good to talk about what are the benefits of obtaining this status by a foundation. So as you can see here, the PBO status unlocks some powerful fiscal benefits. Most of them are the tax exemptions, because the foundation with the PBO status enjoys some tax exemptions in income tax, in VAT, and real property tax. This is very important for the foundation and its activities, because they then can calculate how they can spend the funds they received, and what are the fiscal consequences of spending those money on their statutory activities. Also, when you have a PBO status as a foundation, you can also rely on the taxpayers and the refunds of the tax received donations from the taxpayers with the personal income tax by the individuals. Of course, currently it is 1.5% of the personal income tax that the PBO status organization can receive from the individuals. And also very important fiscal benefits is that the PBO status organization enjoys the court fees and stamp duties exemption. We talked about the fiscal benefits, but there are also very important image benefits. As you can see, in case of a PBO status organization, we can easily say about the increased trust to those organizations. Public benefit organizations are perceived as more transparent and working for some good, noble public good, which increases the public trust in the society. Also, having a public benefit organization status increased the recognition. Listing on PBO's list translates into better recognition among donors, among volunteers, partners, other people who want to identify with the mission of our foundation. This status also points the attractiveness to the donors and sponsors, because companies and individuals are more likely to support PBO status organization because it strengthened their image as a socially responsible company, which is also important due to the ESG regulations and some other compliance issues.
So my colleague presented many benefits of having a PBO status. So now let's learn about examples of obligations that come with this status. So first of all, it is essential that the public benefit activity of a foundation is not elusive. If a public benefit organization stops performing public benefit activities, it might lose its PBO status. Secondly, public benefit organizations are obliged to prepare an annual report on its activity. This report is published on the National Freedoms Institute's website. It's called Narodowy Instytut Wolności. This report must be submitted by July 15th of the year following the reporting year. Thirdly, public benefit organizations are obliged to provide some public information in accordance with the Act on Access to Public Information of 2001, but only to a limited scope. These obligations apply only if they perform public tasks or obtain public funds, including 1.5% income tax from individuals. This means, for instance, that if the organization receives a request to provide access to public information, it must disclose this information accordingly. Finally, a PBO status organization must spend all its incomes on its statutory goals. This approach ensures transparency and prevents misuse of the resources. Proper allocation maintains the organization's accountability to donors and tax authorities.
Yes, so as you can see, PBO status is not only something you can use for your fiscal benefits and image benefits, yes, but as well, yes, there are also some restrictions, as well the responsibilities that need to be taken into consideration when planning to apply for this kind of status. Okay, I think we have two questions. Maybe we can answer them quickly. First question: can a PBO conduct active campaigns for 1.5% tax donations by contacting companies for financial support? Yes, as we already mentioned, when the foundation enjoys the PBO status, it may actively ask for these tax donations from the taxpayers. So also some kind of campaigns are okay here. I think we need the foundations should also consider some other regulations and comply with some other regulations, for example, GDPR, because when you try to contact a company or the representative of the company, you need to take into the consideration that if you go with the email information and or telephone communication, you should have a special consent for these people in accordance with the electronic law in Poland. So yes, this is doable and you can do this kind of campaigns, but I think you should be careful when you want to actively ask the companies or the individuals whether they would like to share with you the tax donations. You need to keep in mind that there are some compliance regulations in Poland that need to be taken into consideration here as well. So any kind of these campaigns needs to be well planned.
Yeah.
Okay, and I see second question.
Upon obtaining PBO status, must we automatically cease all forms of economic activity by our foundations? So conducting business activities does not prevent an organization from obtaining a PBO status. However, it is important to note that business activity can only be carried out alongside public benefit activity, and all income must be allocated to statutory activities. This means that the aim of making a profit cannot take higher priority than the statutory objectives, which should be the organization's primary activity.
Yeah, the core of the activity, yeah.
So the economic activities may be a secondary concern, serving primarily to generate funds for the performance of the statutory activities.
Yes, so I do not see any further questions. I think we explained every details we wanted to explain, and our agenda is finished. So in case you have any further question, please do not hesitate to contact us using our email addresses. You can find our contact details on our website. So we would be very happy to answer any questions you may have. Have a good day. Thank you for today's meeting, and see you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.